Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. Sorry it's taken so long to get this up. I promised this recipe to you guys, this tutorial to you guys I should say, a little over a week ago, and life got really busy and I didn't get the chance to get it up, so here I am. These are my homemade pumpkin noodles, okay? I'll give you a shot of that. Like that. These are awesome this time of year because I always end up making cookies and I make a whole batch or even a double batch, and I've got this big old can of pumpkin and I end up with a little bit of pumpkin left over, and I'm like, hey, I've already got 2 dozen cookies. I'm going to eat all of those. What do I do with the rest of this pumpkin? So I like to make homemade pumpkin noodles out of them. They're really good with a cream sauce or a brown butter and sage sauce. I bet you could make all kinds of different sauces to put on these. They'd be delicious. Right here, I have 1 cup of whole wheat flour. Now, you can use any flour you want. I like to use the whole wheat flour. I've tried einkorn flour. It doesn't seem to have the same type of gluten in it, so it doesn't quite work as well. But if that's what you use, go ahead and try it. I bet they'll still be good. White flour works great too because white flour has a lot of gluten content in it as well. This is 1/2 cup of pumpkin. This is regular store-bought pumpkin. You can use the stuff from the store like I do, or you can use home-processed pumpkin. I find that the home-processed pumpkin does tend to be a little bit watery, a little bit thinner, I should say. So you will have to adjust how much water you add to the noodle dough when you're making it. And you'll see as we make it how that works. I also have a little bowl of water right here. So I use about 3 tablespoons of water when I'm making the dough. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera so you guys can see exactly how I make the dough for the pasta. I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. I've obviously got my flat surface here. The granite works great for that. Don't do it on unsealed wood because the wood does tend to kind of suck up some of the moisture for the noodles when I'm making the dough. So I'm going to dump the flour in a pile here. And with noodles, you're going to want to make a little basin in the middle, just like this. And add the pumpkin to that. Okay, now I'm going to put approximately 3 tablespoons of water in that little basin as well, and go from there. Now, with noodles, whether you're doing an egg noodle or a pumpkin noodle, you're going to want to really get that gluten content mixed up and developed, so that you have kind of a really springy dough. And you may need a little more flour, a little more water. So I do keep a little bit of that on hand while I'm making these. So it will take you a few minutes to knead this and incorporate all the flour. You can see it's turning into this really pretty kind of orangey color here. Smells like pumpkin. I found when I cook them up, they don't taste super pumpkin-y, I guess, for lack of a better term. So they would really work with just about any sauce you decided to try, because they're not an overwhelmingly pumpkin flavor. Okay, and it's still sticking to my hand pretty good, you can see. When you've got enough flour and enough kneading going on, they will stop sticking to your hand, and you'll have one ball of dough. You won't have this kind of shaggy dough mess that we have right now. I'm going to add a little extra flour because mine was a little bit wet. All right, let's get this all kneaded up. If you have any frustrations, work those out. This is a great way to do that. You know, every time I make pasta noodles, I think about these little old Italian grannies making pasta noodles. And I bet they had the best guns. I bet they had amazing arms. So clearly I need to be doing this more often. All right, we're almost there. The stuff's starting to come off my hands a little bit better. It's actually a pretty quick process as far as cooking goes. A little more flour. Okay. Now what you're looking for once it starts to get less sticky is a dough that when you press your finger into it, it springs back. So that's exactly what you're going to want. So right now, I can still feel it's a little bit sticky to the touch, and it's not springing back quite as well as I'd like. You want a really smooth dough, because pasta noodles have to have that stretchy, springy feel to the dough. And I'm just kind of molding it and folding it and squishing it, just really kneading it good so that it can develop well and have a good texture to it. Because your noodles will not hold their shape or cook up very well, have that kind of al dente bite to it if you don't develop that well enough. Okay, these are almost done. And as you can see, it's really used up all that flour. It's incorporated all of it into the dough really well. So a lot of times you will use a little more than that 1 cup of flour I originally told you. My bad. You will use probably more than 1 cup. Okay. So I've got this nice little ball of dough now. It has this beautiful color to it. And when I push down on it, it springs back. See that? Okay. I'm going to knead it just a little while longer. Just make sure it's really smooth. No stickiness. I have found that you can do a similar process with a little bit of beet juice to color your noodles, but that would be a totally different tutorial I'd have to show you guys, but the noodles for that turn out just beautiful. Okay. Now, when the dough is ready, you're going to wrap it in some plastic wrap. It's got a good spring to it. You're going to wrap it in a plastic wrap and let it sit for 20 minutes before you start to roll it out. And I will show you that step as well. Okay, so now we're back. This has been sitting in the plastic wrap for about 20 minutes. I'm going to pull it out and show you guys how to roll out the noodles. I do not have a pasta machine. I do this by hand. If you have a pasta machine, lucky you. That's awesome. Try it. I bet it'll work great. So I'm actually going to do this in sections. You see how well that stretches? That's because we really, really kneaded it well. And that's good. That's exactly what you want. So I'm going to put this one aside. I'm going to show you how to knead this and get it all flattened out and cut it in noodles. Okay, so I've got a good amount of flour. Now, you use a lot of flour for this part because you don't want it to stick to the countertop and you don't want the noodles to stick to each other once you've gotten to the point where you cut the noodles. Now, I'm going to start just by continually flipping it as you roll it out. Now, the flour on the countertop helps it go a lot better. It helps it kind of straighten out a little bit easier. If I could find my words, that would be awesome right now. Yeah, so really got to get your muscles in there. Push down on the dough. Keep flipping it because you don't want it to stick. And as it gets thinner, you'll see it really starts to stretch out good. Now, I get mine really, really thin because you're not making dumplings. You don't want it really chewy, really doughy when you cook up a noodle. You want it to have a little bit of a chewy bite to it, but not too bad. So I am going to keep rolling this out until I get the desired thickness that I'm looking for. Now, this is one of those things that practice and time is really just part of the equation. You're not going to be perfect at it the first time. You're going to have to try a few times before you get the noodles just the way you like it. And that's okay, because practice makes perfect. Now, it gets a little harder to flip it once it's getting thinner. So you don't want to poke your finger through it at that point. Use a little extra flour here. You use a lot of flour for this particular part because it just goes so much faster and so much smoother. Okay, so I've got this all rolled out pretty thin. I'm going to put a light dusting of flour on the top, make sure it's all coated in flour. Now this part, again, is just something you'll have to get used to. I'm going to start rolling it over onto the floured portion and making sure there's plenty of flour in between the layers while I fold it. This is going to help you when you cut the noodles, this particular step here. Okay? Just keep folding that over. You can still see it's got that pretty orange color under all that flour. And that orange color comes out beautifully when you cook the noodles. So it's a really pretty dish when you cook up these noodles. Make it for your friends and impress them. Tell them to watch my video because it's cool. All right, let's see here. So we've got all of this nicely floured and folded over. So all these layers that are folded over each other are not sticking because of all the flour that we have used. That's a good thing. You do not want these to stick together because when you start cutting them, you don't want them to smush to each other. Now, this is my little trick that I've learned over the years I've been learning to do the pasta myself. Use a pizza cutter. You can do these noodles any width you like. Now, you can do a thicker noodle like this, which is kind of a pappardelle noodle. Or you could do, a thinner one. You can do like a fettuccine style. Ooh, I bet a fettuccine with pumpkin noodles would be amazing. Okay, so you got these little thinner noodles for like a fettuccine style. I prefer mine about medium. I like the pappardelle style. And what's cool is they're not all going to be the same size and width. And that's okay. It kind of gives us this fun rustic-y feel to it. Okay, so I'm going to put some flour on the countertop. Move these down here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Put some flour on the countertop. And I'm going to start laying out these noodles and getting them really coated in flour. before I hang them on my pasta drying rack. Now you can cook them just like this. You can throw it right in the water, hot boiling water with a little bit of salt. Now these cook so fast when they're fresh noodles like this. You can cook them fresh just like this. Obviously you'd have to dust a little bit of the flour off to do that before you throw them in the water. But you can cook them like that. I like to dry mine and save them for later if I'm not going to cook them immediately. They do dry really, really well, and they're beautiful. So right now, all I'm doing is I am just kind of unfolding these. And again, all that flour you put on earlier is crucial to these noodles not sticking. Okay? So that's about really what you do. We've got this beautiful little pasta nest here. We'll put that up here so you guys can see it. Really pretty pumpkin noodles. Perfect for fall. Now I am going to go ahead and hang these on my dryer, my pasta rack dryer, and I will show you what that looks like when it's all done. Okay guys, so the noodles are all done. I've got them hanging on this neat little pasta drying rack here. Now this little guy here, I bought him on Amazon Prime a couple years ago, and I will try to find him and put the link in the description down below in case you guys want one. It folds up really tiny, and I just store it in the pantry, and whenever I need it, I pull it out. These will be done by tomorrow morning, and I can put them in a baggie or a jar or whatever to save for later. I've got a little flour on my hands. Sorry, as I dust my hands off. I hope you enjoy these. Please give it a try. Like and subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you next week when I do another recipe. I'd like to try a pad see mao, which is a Thai drunken noodle. It's one of my favorite recipes to make. So come on back next week. Watch me make it. Maybe try it yourself. Like and subscribe. And let me know how this recipe went for you guys. And if you have any requests or any questions, just let me know. And thank you for watching, and God bless you.